Hello everyone, this is Mohammed from Python Ninja YouTube channel, and by this tutorial we reach 100 tutorial in YouTube, and that's really very good to cover Python coding for beginner and moderate programmers. And we will continue reaching 200 tutorials also. And in this tutorial we will learn how can we enforce a method inside a class to be called like attribute, in which we use property decorator. The property decorator allows us to create managed attribute, enabling methods to be accessed like attributes. So after creating a class and inserting method inside this class, we can access the method using, for example, if I have a class Amazon and I make an instance from this class like Amazon, okay, so I can Amazon, okay, I can access the method, okay, using dot, for example, method, and then I can do equal, or I can do whatever I want without calling the method using the round parentheses, which is a normal method to call, a normal way to call a method, okay. Now, the property also decorator allows encapsulation, meaning that it's typically used to define getter and setter, okay, methods within the class, okay. So it will restrict accessing the methods or attributes from outside. Remember that the name of the getter and setter methods must match the property name. What does that mean? We will start coding and you will understand more about what I mean of having the getter and setter with the same name. But let us clarify this line by recapping how we usually program the getter and setter function. For example, if I have a class, for example, Amazon, and in this class I will define only two attributes, okay, just for clarification. I have the name and I have the age, okay, and as usual we store, okay, in this attribute the value of the name, and we store also in this attribute the value of the age. Now, if I want to also add another, okay, attribute to be, for example, a private attribute as salary, okay, and I give none as a default value. Now I have to introduce setter and getter in order to assign a value to this attribute, which is the salary, or to retrieve the value of that salary. So what I usually do, I define def get salary, okay, like this. We highlighted that in the encapsulation tutorial, and in this the get salary I want to return, for example, the self, okay, dot salary, okay. It's the common way to identify getter, and for the setter I define, okay, set salary, and in this we will also set the base salary, okay, and we will assign the private attribute, which is the self dot to leading underscore salary will be equal to the basic salary. So these are the common way we learned together in previous tutorials about defining getter and setter to allow encapsulation, okay, in which we do like restricting of accessing some attributes or methods, okay. But for a property decorator, in order to have the property decorator, then you will be able to access the method from outside by using or similar to accessing attribute. But we have to retain, okay, the names of the getter, which is this, and setter must match the property name, okay. Usually for the getter, the thing that I want to, or the method that I want to use to get, I give it a name. For example, I give it a salary, okay. Since it will retrieve the final value to me, I will assign a suitable name to it, okay. So the property name is the salary, and to identify property I use the decorator, which is the property, okay. again, in next tutorials, but just when we finish the object-oriented programming, we will learn together how can we program decorators in Python. Okay, now if I define a method and I use in the top of this method a property decorator, then I enforce encapsulation, okay, using this property decorator, and the method that will be used to set the salary, it should have the same name of the property like this, okay, to achieve this condition. So I have the same name, but it will contain additional decorator, which is salary, okay. So the salary, which is the property now, but dot setter, okay. So again, we define a method to be property. Usually the property method is the method that return value to me or show something to me, and I tag this using a property, okay. Then this method should be connected with another method to retrieve this salary. So I have to define the setter method. The setter method should hold the same name of the getter, but with a tag here, which is @salary, which means that we go to this method or this property, and we go from this property, okay, to the setter method. So this will allow me to access this method, okay, from outside, okay. So when I say Amazon.salary equal 100, by this case we activate setter. When I say print Amazon.salary, then I activate this property. Like, let us clarify that by creating an instance. So I have Amazon, for example, instance, and it is instance from Amazon class, and I have Mira here, and I have the age of Mira is 35. Let us to say. Now, how can I activate this this part or this setter method? I can only say Amazon.salary, okay, equal, for example, 5K. Okay, now when I recall in this form or in this syntax, then we assign to this instance .salary. By this way, we assign to the .salary 5K as a salary, and we call this function. And this is the common way to access a function or a method as attribute. But if you access it as a method, then it will not be working. For example, then you will have like a syntax error or type error in this case. So to access the method, which is here, okay, and this method is defined as the salary setter, so it will set the value. So it will be here for 5K. Now we set the value, okay, because this assignment is understood as setter, okay, or equivalent to something. So it will go for the setter side. Now, if I want to activate the property or to get the salary, then I go to property, because the property usually will give me the final result. So when I say print to me the salary, the Amazon instance.salary, okay, just like this, then we will have 5,000, okay, or 5K. Now we retrieved the salary, okay, from the property here, and we print this as similar to attribute calling or attribute printing. Okay, this is not now it behave not or it doesn't behave like a function, because if I want to print this as a function, I have to use the parentheses here. But now we enforce a method to be executed as an attribute using dot and the name only, okay, by tagging this method as salary. So any method will be tagged as a property, will be called, okay, as a property, as an attribute in this case, okay, even if the method is getter or setter. Getter is the method that will print to me, and setter is the method that will set the value to me. Remember that we have only one property decorator. Okay, but in some cases we could have multiple property decorator, and in this case, sorry, and in this case we can tag different. We can introduce different property decorator. Okay, for example, if you want also to include deleter, or you can delete the salary by tagging here. So we have the property here, we have the setter here, okay, and this is the getter and this is the setter, and you can define a salary, okay, dot deleter, and this will be also with the same name. So this property, this setter, this getter should be with the same name, okay, and in this you will do only delete, okay, which is the built-in del for self, okay, dot underscore salary. If I want to, for example, delete this salary, okay, let us use del, okay, and I want to del the Amazon.salary, Amazon here dot salary, okay, and now I deleted, okay, the value of this attribute. Okay, when I do print again, because I deleted it, it will be showing me an attribute error because I delete the Amazon.salary, okay, and deleting the Amazon.salary entail deleting the value, okay, that I set from outside. Now let us give another example of about how can we have a class with two properties, okay, decorators. Let us define a class of a circle, okay, and in this class I want to enter the first radius, so I have to define a constructor that will accept the first radius from outside when I create the instance, and I have to store, okay, this value inside an encrypted or inside a private radius, okay. So I want to store this value inside a private radius, okay, to be not accessed from outside directly. Now, as usual, we need to define a property, okay, and this property will behave as a getter, will show the result to the end user, okay, or to me, or it will print here the result. This is the property. The property, I will give him a right name. I will give him in this case radius, and in this case it will does nothing other than getting the value. Okay, so I can make some fancy stuff here. So for example, I can say printing, okay, the radius, okay, and I have some dots here, and I can only return, okay, self dot double leading underscore radius. So by this case I define the property decorator that will get the value to me. Okay, but before getting the value, if I make an instance from the circle, I have to insert the value, which is 5. When I do circle dot radius, then it will return to me the value I set from outside. Okay, what if I want to update the value? Updating the value now of this radius entail identifying a new setter. So I want to identify for this property a setter. So I want to identify radius dot setter, okay, and it will have the same name of the radius, okay, and it will also contain the for example, let us to say it is value, okay, just to be a difference from the outside the first radius, okay. And remember, if the value, okay, well, for example, not equal, will be less than 0, we should print like negative radius, and in this negative radius it does nothing else. So if it will be lower than 0, then it will show a negative message, a negative value message to me, and we do not assign or update this value. But if it is not negative, then I can show another fancy print which show setting value, or setting with us to say radius. And we can make it fancy like this. However, this is connected with a timer if you want to do some fancy operation like this. And if it is greater than or equal 0, I can say self dot underscore radius equal value. So I assign the value or the new value of the private attribute now based on the setter. So this is the logic of the code. When I make an instance from this circle, I have to insert the initial radius. The initial radius will be stored in the self in a private attribute. Now, if I do in the first time getting to the value, then we will return the value that we inserted at the first time. But if I want to update the value, and now we update the value in the form similar to attribute update, not method update. We have to define setter, and we define this setter now. Now let us define another thing. If I want to delete this value in this attribute, I have to say radius.deleter. I have to call it radius.deleter, and remember to have the same name of the function of the property radius, and setter. And now the deleter, we have the radius, and this radius will only do delete of the self dot radius. So we define the deleter. This is the first property, which is related to setting and getting and setting and deleting the value of radius. What if I want also to have another property decorator? For example, if I call this similar to attribute way, that will return, for example, the area to me. So I can define area, and this area does nothing, but it will return this is pi, and this will be multiplied by radius self dot radius, and this is what should be squared. But this could be used as a method, so we have to access the method using normal method from the instance, but I don't need to access the method using the normal method. I want to access the method using the similar form of attribute. So I have to tag this with a property. Remember, here we have a property. Each method that will behave or that will interact with this property, from setting and deleting, should hold the same name. However, we can after manipulating some attributes within these methods, like radius, we can use the value that has been updated in another property, like this property, that will return to me the value, when calling this method using the attribute form calling. Now let us create an instance from this circle, and I will pass for the first time, because in the constructor I have to pass the radius. Then I will say the radius is 10. Then let us execute this getter, which comes from this property, and when I say print print circle dot radius, without using this, because I don't use method calling, I use now property to be able to call the radius in this way, which is similar to attribute. Then it shows to me it's 10, because I inserted the initial radius to be 10. what if I want to update? I can say circle dot radius. Okay, the same thing, but I do assignment here, for example, to 15. So let us print the newly updated radius. Now it becomes 15, not 10, because of this setup section. Okay. Now, if I update this to be -5, then it will be. This should be. This should be here. Okay. If it is be 0, it should be 0 here, but it returned 10 to me because here is the problem. Here we have the value lower than 0. We only do here negative radius, and it is negative radius. Okay, but I have to give default value if it's negative. So self dot radius, it should be 0 now. So whenever I insert here, okay, whenever I insert a negative value, then this should be as a 0 here. Okay, so let us remove this one. Okay, and come here. So now I have negative radius because I updated the value to be negative radius, and at the same time I assigned a default value under this value. Now, what if I want, for example, let us do it like 15, and now we have the 15 as a radius. What if I want to get the area now? We can get the area by using the property decorator, which allow me to bring the circle, for example, dot area. So without calling it in a method form, and now this is the area of the circle. And what if I will do, for example, -1 here, then it will be 0. And that's for today's tutorial. I hope you are enjoying this series of tutorials. And in the next tutorial, we will learn together method chaining and object-oriented programming in Python.